Well, first, just to his credit, he does a lot of things really well. And, again, he would not have been the man he was coming out of LSU if he didn't have that,
True.
that upside behind him. But there's some things you can't take away. When I was in Baltimore, and, I just use this as comparison for people to understand. And, talking about Claire, when I was in Baltimore, they never changed the offense to fit me. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust because of the size of backs that they had in that AFC East. When I got to Kansas City, I finally was asked the question, Priest, what do you like to run? What works for you? And I said, if you can spread them out, spread the defense out, give me a lane, put them on a second level, a 1 and a 2 level, I'll find the second level and I'll get to it, right? But if you run me between the tackles 6 times or 7 times or 8 times, I'm probably going to win 2 or 3 times. But the majority of those wins are going to go to that defensive line. And I think I see that also in the running backs that the Chiefs have. That's the reason why I think when they put in Williams, it makes a difference, a different size running back, different size. But when you're talking about their starter, how are we going to make him, something that he's not? I don't think you can do that, and I think you should just, leverage him with his ability and put him in situations to win and put him in the offense and give him the plays that he's highly successful on. I used to keep all my stats, I used to, I was a statistician, when it came to just knowing, the odds and the ends and the tendencies of what defenses are going to do. So I would always find what are my best plays? What are the plays that I have the ability to have greater success? Put me in those plays. One thing I can tell you is that Edwards has the ability to do a jump cut that I don't think most backs can do. And I know we saw that his rookie season when he first came in, his ability to pause the defense as he attacked the line of scrimmage, and then he could jump left or right as a side step cut. It's one of those things that after you've been in the league a couple of years, the defense is always going to find a way to stop you. And they're going to neutralize you eventually, And I think that although he doesn't have the size to be able to command that presence when he's going in between the tackles, I think if they open up the offense, which they do a lot of times, and they put him on the perimeters and they give him the space and allow him to go one-on-one with the nickel package or the dime package and get him on a linebacker on the second level with the draw, I think that makes all the difference, for Edwards.
Yeah, I think he's definitely, kind of underrated as a runner. But like you said, you was kind of birthed in that fire, though. When we talk about running right downhill, like you said, it's hit 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's what the offenses was. When I was talking to EB, actually at the coaches convention, we were just kind of talking. He was like, look, JD, he said, look, man, we don't run the football like we used to back in the day. We just don't. So you're not going to see a lot of guys getting 1,800 yards unless, of course, Derrick Henry, right, was going to get a lot of totes in a game. Now, Najee Harris was coming in this week. They try to get the ball to him. So you got these certain styles of backs and offenses that want to do a little bit more power running, right? But like you said, CEH is a much better guy, kind of out in space. That's kind of what he was, he was used to in LSU, and they kind of coming up here. Like you said, in between the tackles, yeah, he may not be successful like that, right? Like you said, he doesn't have that size. And so with this type of offense, like you said, spreading him out a little bit more, he's great out of the backfield, catching balls out of the backfield, right? Swing passes, maybe even like, a couple of curls and things like that against the linebackers. That's what you want, the matchup, one-on-one. But like you said, anything like in between the tackles is going to be, really tough, for him to get. And the plus, when I'm looking at this offense, I see a lot of like that kind of delay run and little draw, just in the shotgun and they hand the ball off, right? You ain't coming downhill as soon as you're taking a step back, now you're coming. It's a little different than, with this offense where you got to sit there for a second and actually get the handoff from the quarterback and then go. So, you're not hitting it at full stride like you should. And that's one of the things I have like an issue just as far as like when I look at it offensively. Some of the things that we don't necessarily run is like that power game, like I'm just used to. Like, sometimes it's just like that, smash mouth football. That's what you just want to see, that smash mouth football that's going to wear the defensive tackles down, and you're going to keep the linebackers, you're going to keep them honest. And so I think it opens up the pass, and sometimes we don't have that, then it creates a little bit of problems for us offensively.
Well, I think Clyde Edwards still, I think at the end of the day, he'll have success. I think he'll have to continue to find his niche on the field and find out where the successful, plays are for him. again, if you can get him in between the tackles and you can put him one-on-one with a linebacker, I believe he'll win that every time. If you can get Clyde to the second level and get him one-on-one with a linebacker, because of his sidestep and his step away, he can flat out beat just about any linebacker. Now, if you get them in tight situations where they can get their hands on them, then the defense is going to win just because of the size. But, I still think he runs very low to the low gravity, runs very low to the ground. So I think he also wins in those muscle yards, when he has an opportunity. But, it's one of those things, once you get into the league and you start to see the size of the defense and how fast that they are, it's one of those things where you got to use all of your tools and use all of the I say, the Kansas City Chiefs, they have the ability to change the offense so quickly. And they're able, and they have a quarterback, obviously, that with Mahomes, that has the ability to get out on the perimeter and then changes the dynamic of the entire landscape of the football field once he's able to get out there, because he has the ability to throw across the field. You know what I mean? He can also stop on a dime, and then he can, he's not afraid to run, tuck the ball and run. So, the offense is very exciting to watch, as a fan of the Chiefs, and sitting, and being on the outside looking in. I enjoy watching them play, man, and it's always a pleasure to see their ability. The one thing people always ask me is, what's the first thing that you miss about football? And I tell them, scoring a touchdown. It was nothing like 70,000 people or even more than that. Half of them are going to be cheering you on, and the other half is going to be hating you. So that was a passion of mine, to be able to feel that energy, regardless if it was good energy or bad energy. To get 70,000 people up on their feet yelling against you or yelling with you was a beautiful thing.
That is true. Marcus, I hate holding you out, so you got to get you involved.
No, I wanted to ask Priest, because on the topics of running backs, this weekend's gonna be the first weekend that we'll have all of our backs healthy, because pretty much all throughout the season, one of them's been hurt. McKinnon's been hurt. Derrick Williams has been hurt. CH has been hurt. This is the first weekend all four of them, and plus Derrick Gore, who emerged throughout the season. And I've seen a lot of fans on Twitter talk about, is there a way where the team could get all four backs realistically involved in the offense throughout the playoffs, or is that just kind of hard to do, to kind of get everyone touches?
No, I think when you have an opportunity to go into the playoffs and you're going on that run, you need all healthy bodies, and you never know which one of those backs is going to be the one to add that spark. And if they're all healthy, let's activate them and make sure they have an opportunity to get a chance to get into the game. Obviously, you're going to have one back that's going to stand out. He's going to get more touches. He's going to get a little bit more of the flow, but it never fails because of the way that systems are now, and you have multiple backs that come out and have that diversity. It only takes one of those backs to have a big 20-yard play that changes the game. And then the game is, the game can reset back to Mahomes, and now he can take control of the game. That's where I look at, how can these guys like Gore and McKinnon be successful? It may not be from a down-to-down play, but it's going to be from being that spark player that comes in, makes a big play, makes a big block, or makes a big catch that gets the first down, that's going to be able to keep that offense going. Because the offense is built, it has the tools that it needs. It has the ability to be playing football for a long time now, obviously with the number of championships that they already have within the division, and now, getting another run at the playoffs. They've been playing exceptional over the years, and the defense, has been right there, stood by the sides and continue to make plays, especially when they needed to make them.
I see it hard to do with four running backs, and I agree. Yeah, you got to find a way, especially when I think they've all four played well throughout the season.
Okay.
Williams has played exceptionally well, better than I thought he was going to play this year. For most of what they've used him for, power back, back out of the catching plays out of the backfield and whatever else. And Gore has definitely been a spark, but I think they're just hard to find ways to get everybody in some type of rhythm. And with us being such a pass happy team, we have favorites. As much as we don't want to admit it, we do. Kelsey's one of our favorites. Tariq Hill's one of our favorites. And so we got to feed these guys the ball, because that's where most of our success comes from. And at times you have to run the ball because you have to keep defenses honest. And of the four, it's hard to say, how do we put you in if you've got a good run and, we got you in rhythm. And so we're going to go with the next guy in the next series. when this guy's already like he's got a good rhythm. So if one of the whoever starts get in has got a good rhythm, running, catching the ball, like how do you pull him out and just throw the other guy in when you got such a good rhythm with the offense going?
Yeah, I don't think you really take them out. I think you go with the guy with the hot hand, like anybody says, and most teams do. You go with the running back that has the hot hand. But there are certain situations like McKinnon. He's great on the swing pass. If you can get him out in space, out in the perimeter, get him one-on-one with a defender, he has the speed, he's agile, he has the ability to break away and to get that first down or pick up a 15-yard play just off of a quick pass. You look at Gore, a much stronger running back, has size, runs aggressively. I think that still makes a difference between when you're playing a game and you're going into the playoffs. You're going to have to make sure you have someone that has the ability to be dominant, to make that force, to run really hard. And every now and then you need that example to be shown out on the field. It makes a difference. I'm telling you, when cats are running a certain way and with power and with aggression, man, it does send a message to both sidelines, to let players know, man, our running game is here to stay. You can do all the, like I said, you can do all the draw plays you want. You can do all the swing passes you want. You can do all the flashy plays, but it goes back to what JD says. Eventually you got to line up and you got to dig them out and go downhill, in between those tackles. And so, I think that they'll continue to have success in doing that, but I think they definitely needs to stay with the hot hand, and whoever they're going with out of that running back committee, they need to stay with. And then of course, put in players like McKinnon on special plays where, you get a chance to pick up a really quick 5 yards, 10 yards on a quick swing pass.
Look, all those guys have, a particular talent about them, right? I can name each and every one, at least in my estimation, what they have. Like you said, McKinnon's great out in space, probably one of the best pass blockers they got. Derrick Williams is like one of those guys. He's going to get you extra yards, the tough yards that you need. Gore's kind of more of a balance between like CEH and Williams. I think he's kind of like more of the complete back, but he's not going to get a lot of looks. CEH, he's another one who's that's your workhorse. That's the guy that you get, like you said, you got to lean on first, see what he's doing, see how he's responding, how his body's doing well. But it's a good change of pace. So every time you can throw a defense off with a change of pace guy, that's when you want to keep them guessing. Who's this guy coming in now? And so when you got a guy who's coming in and he's already, pounding away at you, and all of a sudden you got a guy who's running around you, that's got to be frustrating on the defense. I mean, you could probably talk, a little bit about that when you see like different backs come in. I mean, think about like Denver, same thing. When you talk about Gordon and them guys, Williams, change of pace, they give you something different. And defense got to adjust to it. And that's hard to adjust like that right on the fly, right? Oh, here comes this guy in, right? So that's a good thing about having, I guess, that problem. If that's an issue, that's a good problem to have, right? 4 guys who come out there and can hit home anytime they want to. So I like it. I like that part of it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. And, at the end of the day, I always go back, you got to line up and you got to dig them out, and we also know that on the defense side of the ball, when they get ready to pin those ears back on the defensive ends and they start putting a helmet and getting anywhere near your quarterback, it makes a difference. It changes up the play of the game. It changes how that progression of going into the pocket your quarterback is going to have once he starts getting too much contact or too many defenders being close to him. And I think that's always going to be the neutralizer of the game. So, they have a 1-2 punch. They have the ability to have backs that have the ability to get on the perimeter. They have the ability to go strong in between tackles. But you got to get, I think, Clyde Edwards' success early in the game. You can't wait to allow for Clyde Edwards to work from, the bottom up. I think he's a front runner. I think he gets out. And if you get him running good and you get him breaking tackles and you get him escaping the linebackers and getting out and picking up 10 yards, I think he's the type of player that plays out front, And so I've seen a lot of players, the ones that can play out front and the ones that are always going to be consistent from the back end. They're always going to be there. They're always going to be digging out people in the trenches. They're always going to be blocking. They're always going to making sure they catching the pass. And then you have the front runners. But I think it's a combination of both. And I think the team has it. You talk about the receivers, you talked about Kelsey, you talked about Hill. Again, we know what those guys can do. You run Kelsey across the field, you run Hill deep. It's a no-brainer of how to be successful with those guys. But, the neutralizer that the Chiefs have always had that neutralizes any defense is Mahomes. So, he has something special. He has a knack of being able to control the game. So I'm looking forward to this Sunday and seeing how he does, man, and how he controls the game.
Oh, so we get into the hot takes already.
Yeah, something like that.